Hurricane Michael destroyed nearly everything in its path in the Florida Panhandle. That's the town of Mexico Beach. You can just see the pictures there. The aerials show the scope of the damage. But this house managed to withstand the historic hurricane. It's one of the few structures still standing. Look at that. Look at the difference between that house and everything around it. Joining us now are the homeowners, Russell King and Dr. Lebron Lackey. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us. First, your reaction when you first saw the pictures of your house and all the damage that was done around it.
Well, we're glad our house survived, but we're so sad we're overcome with sadness for everybody else.
So the relief of seeing the pictures was just incredible at the time.
He watched the storm come in. We had Arlo cameras stationed on the decks. He watched the storm coming in. I'd been watching CNN all day and knew it was coming, but I had to turn it off. And he kept calling me, and I kept hanging up on him.
I was watching the whiteout through the eye wall.
We had Arlo cameras here that survived, and there it is. And y'all have got the disc out of it.
Yeah, no.
When I first drove into town.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. When I first drove into town, I'd been relieved because I'd already seen the pictures of the house and the fact that the house stood. And I'd already seen the pictures of destruction, but there was just nothing like it firsthand. Before I ever made it to the house, I already had tears in my eyes for the community.
No, it is hard. It's so hard to look at the community now and think of everything that was lost. Why did your house...
We were with our friends yesterday.
Why did your house survive?
Go ahead. We put a lot of work in it.
We paid attention to every detail from the ground up. At every point, from pilings to the roof and everything in between. When it came time to make a decision about what level of material or what to use, we didn't pay attention to code. We went above and beyond code, and we asked the question, what would survive the big one? And we consistently tried to build it for that.
And this was the
engineers took all kinds of things. Well,
apparently so.
My understanding is that the code, the Hurricane Andrew code in the Florida Panhandle, is that you have to build a house to withstand 120 mile per hour winds. You built this to withstand 240 mile per hour winds, is that right?
240, 250, something like that. It's poured concrete walls on top of 40-foot pilings, and rebar all in the walls. Steel cables go from the girders above the pilings through the roof and continue through the roof down the other side on the back wall.
And then, of course, you can see the house built up on the stilts. I mean, you can see it built up high. Why was that done?
Now, that's code. Obviously, we followed everything that was code, but then we went beyond that. I could have put a balcony that I wanted on the east side of the house. Engineer said, I thought you wanted a hurricane house. We took it off. I wanted more overhang. He said, I thought you wanted a hurricane house. So our soffit's very small. We don't have any vinyl. It's all hardy board, hardy construction, the eaves, everything that we could do that way we did, trying to make it as survivable. We took windows out that we thought, instead there's concrete there. A lot of people criticized this, our friends said, why don't you put more windows in? We did put the Gulf view in, so you've got that, but the rest of it not so much.
And we put in hurricane windows by custom windows systems, and those are rated for 140 mile per hour wind, 4-pound projectile hurricane windows, and they did their job.
How much more did it cost?
The president of that company will be here tomorrow.
How much more did this house cost than if you had done it otherwise?
We've estimated 15 to 20%. Would you say that's accurate?
Our land, they're saying, I saw where in the Times, the guy that did Mr. Gaston did the designing, he thought it was more than that, and we just have to go and figure, because the hurricane windows are supposed to be in regardless, and the hurricane door. You're supposed to do a lot of that regardless. And going from vinyl to hardy board construction or other cement board, it's not that much. Now the 30-foot pilings was what they were going to do, and then I called and said, well, what can we get better than that? And they said we can get 40-foot, and it was like $2,000 more.
Right.
Then I called back. I said, well, can we get 50-foot? Well, they make them for commercial, but that was going to be $2,000 more. I said, great, we'll do that. Right. But then they said they couldn't get them here to us without spending about $12,000 more to get them here. Of course, now I wished I'd spent that. Right. And they were 50-foot in the ground, but
Basically, you beef
look.
up the specs, and at every point along the way, you reach some point where you can't beef up the
Right.
specs anymore within reason.
Russell King, Dr. LeBron Lackey, thanks so much for being with us. We're happy
can I
for
say
you.
one more thing?
Very quickly, sir.
Just thank you to CNN. I watched y'all the pre-storm coverage. There are people who are alive today, in my opinion, because y'all got the word out. Sometimes you're accused, of over dramatization and all. Y'all did it from the time this thing formed in the Caribbean. Y'all were reporting on it, tracking it, telling us where it was going to go. And he was watching the camera, and I was watching it then. That's before I chickened out. But y'all did a great job of warning people. People are alive today, in my opinion, because CNN warning people, saying, please get out of harm's way. Plus, all these brave, wonderful people, the first responders, they're in here searching debris now,
Yep.
looking for people that are still missing.
Gentlemen,
hopefully just a couple.
thank
it puts
you,
their lives at jeopardy.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being with us this morning. Your community is going to need you. They're going to be leaning on you in the coming days and weeks, and we appreciate you being there today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a really nice sentiment that he got in there at the end, and everyone's going to have to follow that blueprint,
Yep.
however they built
That's
that
the
house.
future.